those that have done you wrong, or maybe running away from God, running away from the calling and the plans and the assignment that the Lord has on the lives of maybe your spouses, maybe your destiny helpers, someone who God has showed you the two of you are supposed to be together or work together or have an assignment together. I even hear perform together. They have gotten to a point where they try to keep remembering maybe an offense that the two of you had. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Let me put it like this. Have you ever had a falling out with someone? It could be a family member, a coworker, a friend. It does not matter. You had a falling out to the point where the two of you stopped speaking and time has taken place. Like it's been an extended period of time since this falling out. And maybe you're in a place where not only do you forgive them, but you can't for the life of you remember what was the extent of the fallout. Like, what was it? I can't remember why we even fell out. I can't remember why we stopped talking. I can't remember why we stopped hanging out together. Does that sound familiar? Some of those who you are assigned to, those who, again, who have been in wrong or tried to run, they were trying so hard to hold on to, for a period of time, they were holding on to maybe an offense that had taken place, maybe a lack of trust, an event of betrayal, maybe an argument, something that led up to them leaving, that led up to them running, that led up to them wanting to be separate from you. For a while, they held on to remembering that kind of validated their feelings, that validated their grudges, and they held on to it. Right now, the Lord is removing that memory, and they can't remember it to save their lives. They can't remember it if their life counted and depended on it. No matter how hard they tried to remember the offense or to remember why they left, why they didn't want to be with you, they're having a hard time remembering it. And God is wiping the slate clean. He's cleansing that residue. So now, therefore, they can only remember the good times. They can only remember the times you two used to laugh and used to hang out and you used to encourage and motivate each other, you know, whatever that looks like. So this is one of those things that God is working behind the scenes for your good. You know, God is doing this in your favor. And the crazy thing is the way he gave this to me. So you know how people will say God speaks to us in our dreams. God reveals in our dreams. God shows us things in our dreams. That is accurate. You know how some may say, oh, if you can't remember your dreams, they're under attack. If you can't remember your dreams, that's the enemy. If you can't remember your dreams, something is going on. You need to pray against that. That's partially true, but it depends on how God is in that. God, for the past, maybe, I don't know, I can't say how long it's been. I really can't remember. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Oddly enough, he's using me as an example. But I've always been a dreamer. And lately, I have not been able to remember all of my dreams, just like bits and pieces. That's normally not how it is. The way he gave me the message for this, the wisdom for this message was the fact that he was wiping away the memory of my dreams was wisdom for this message. Does that make sense? For some of you, it may go over your head. Some of you may be able to receive this. I knew I used to always dream. I knew I've always waken up with remembering a dream, interpretation, wisdom, provision, directions, prophecy, whatever that looks like. But lately, I have not been able to remember. But I sat with that before I start binding and rebuking why I can't remember my dreams. God, is that you? And if so, open me up to see what you are saying. I say all of that to say he was using that to give me this revelation of the things that they normally were able to remember. They had been holding on to for a period of time. They were able to remember that. He's wiping it away of their remembrance, for they remember it no more. I don't care how much they try to figure out what the offense was, what the event was, what happened. They cannot remember it. He's taken that away for them, for him to do a new thing. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So even with that, when man says, oh, if you can't do this, if this is happening, if that is happening, don't get caught up in that spirit of religion, because the same way that God just used this for me as an example to minister to you, to encourage you, or to have a message for his people, this is when we kind of box God in. It said, if this happens like this, this is what the outcome is. This is what the reason is. This is what the common denominator is. This is what the factor is. But if nothing is off limits for God, and he can use anything or everything, why wouldn't we take what normally happens to come out of religion and be into relationship, what normally happens, and bring that back to God? God, I know what I've been taught about this. I know what you once said about this, but I feel like there may be something different in this that's happening. What do you have to say about this? Thank you, Holy Spirit. This kind of even goes back with my last message. What's my role in this season? What's my role in this hour? So I could have easily missed this download for this message by combating against something that the enemy wasn't even doing, by going to war for something that there was nothing for me to war about, that it was deeper wisdom, it was deeper revelation in that. So again, to sum all of that up, to make that all make sense, whatever your husbands or your wives or your enemies or maybe a friend, a family member, a loved one, whatever caused your separation, for why they rebelled, why they ran, why there was division between you two. For a moment, they were holding on to the offense, and that's what kind of validated their running. The Lord allowed it. You know, his grace was covering it. He allowed it. It was also for your pruning, your molding, and your building. But now, in this hour, he's removing that offense, what they were remembering. Thank you, Holy Spirit. He's giving them spiritual amnesia for. They can't remember why they were so mad. They can't remember what was it? Why did I feel that way about my wife? Why did I feel that way about my husband? Why did I feel that way about my uncle? Like, what is it? And he's doing that again so he can come in. And it's basically like removing that stony and stubborn heart. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And giving them a heart of flesh. Giving them a coachable and teachable heart that the Lord can work with in this hour. All he needed you to do was trust him. You're not the one behind it, putting your hands in and trying to make them remember all the good things. Thank you, Holy Spirit. For a while they were holding on to that offense, the Lord had you hidden. And for those of you that were in alignment with it, doing this God's way, he had you hidden, and now he's unveiling you. Now he's unhiding you. So the fact that he's opening their eyes and giving them a softer heart, right? Giving them, now a desire to do what pleases him, now you're being unveiled. But for those that had to be seen and could not be unseen, and you didn't want to be tucked away, and you didn't want to be hidden, and you needed to put your hands in it, and you needed them to see you and see the God in you, you were getting in God's way for how he was trying to do things. But for those that submitted and endured, this is what God is now doing behind the scenes. Now he's ready to unhide you, open their eyes to see, but they no longer have that offense when they see you. You see what I'm saying? So if you trusted this process, had he allowed them to see you too soon, they would have still seen you and still remembered that offense that they were holding on to still remember that event that rubbed them the wrong way, that broke their heart, that had them feeling some type of way, that didn't sit right with them. So they would have been seeing you, but seeing you improperly, because although God opened their eyes, he didn't remove the offense of what they were holding on to. So trusting him, not only has he removed the offense, now you're getting ready to be unveiled. You're getting ready to be revealed. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You're getting ready to be unhidden. So now that they see you through the eyes of Christ, they no longer see what you did or what they did or the fallout or the breakup or the argument. You know, they no longer see that anymore. That's the beauty of being in sync with the Lord. That's the beauty of trusting the Lord through this process. I love how he did it with the whole dream thing, because I've been hearing all these messages. If your dreams are under attack and if you're not remembering, you could be out of alignment. You're under spiritual warfare. You're under a demonic attack. But I was like, Holy Spirit, something about that doesn't seem like that applies to me. I'm not going to grab onto that. I'm going to bring that back to you. I'm not remembering my dreams. What are you doing in that? What are you saying in that? What do you want me to know in that? I'm going to tell you now, he didn't reveal it to me right away. He made me sit with it. That's me sitting at the Lord's feet. I sat with it. I waited for him to speak about what it is. Not I sat with it. He took too long to speak, so I went on ahead and just grabbed a word that wasn't mine. I grabbed a solution that wasn't for my problem, right? I sat with it, and I sat that at his feet, and I rested in that. Lord, you'll reveal what that is, because it's been happening quite often, and I know there's something that you want to speak to me about that. I rested with it, and today he saw fit to bring that all together to make that make sense. So hope this kind of changed your perspective, kind of opened your eyes. I'm not saying if you're not remembering your dreams, this is what he's doing with you. I'm just using that as an example to say, don't box God in. Don't allow what applies to someone else to make that apply to what God is doing for you in this hour.